Hello everybody and welcome to my Grim Dawn review. So is the game worth the cost of 25 euros dollars? If you're into these sort of games, top-down RPGs, I would say yes. I have played Van Helsing, I have played Torchlight 2, I played Diablo, all the games, maybe not one, I haven't played the one, and all games have something they do good that the others don't have. That's kind of why I like to play all these games here, to try them all out and at least say that I gave them a chance. So I have played 24 hours by now, and I want to kind of just highlight some things in the game that I like, and also just talk a little about my build and all that sort of good stuff. So yeah, you can get the game on Steam, and it's not on sale very often, but try to get it on sale if you can, obviously. But I just wanted to kind of mention again Steam and everything. It's very nice, and you can read reviews about it. But yeah, let's get into the game here. So Grim Dawn is again a top-down RPG where you can tilt around the camera and stuff like that, which makes it a little bit different, kind of fun. But it works basically like the most RPGs, just that they all try to make the combat or the way you build characters and have loot a bit different. Yeah, I will talk about that a little bit in a little bit, and I want to highlight a thing here that kind of makes me go, oh, so this is the sort of game that you can expect to get out of this developer. So I'm standing right now in front of an NPC. I have gotten the choice between either killing her or letting her live. Some people in a town nearby want to kill her because they think she's a traitor or whatever. They're paranoid about her, but should I kill her, should I not kill her? I get rewards either way. There's good things about killing her and bad things about killing her. And these are the sort of choices that you get to make in this game quite often. One example, when you're choosing your blacksmith, you are actually either choosing between a physical based blacksmith or spellcaster blacksmith. Choices like that is why Google is very good, and the game does have sites where you can kind of look up things, but I just wanted to highlight this here. So we're gonna choose to, well, kill her. So enough talk, traitor, time to die. You have reached hostile status with the Oculus. So now I'm not liked by by the faction that she is. Wow, this hurts so bad. Yeah, as you can see, even if it is normal mode, wow, it's pretty hard at times. Yeah, I wasn't really focused on that. Playing on veteran mode is gonna make the gameplay a lot slower, and you have to kite around a lot more and play more defensively. Playing on normal mode when you're starting out is something that I just prefer to you know, speed up the gameplay, but also kind of know that the first 50 or so levels really don't matter, because once you're level 50 to 75, the good gear starts dropping, so I bother spending time on the slow part of the game, you could say. But yeah, I played on normal mode for the most part, but I really just like this game so far, and I think this introduction here with me a little clumsy play. I didn't really expect it to be that hard hitting NPC to kind of, yeah, wrap up this part. Okay, so let's talk a bit about my character. So the problem with this game, at least for me, so I tend to like sorceresses, especially in Diablo 2. I just like ranged builds in general for these sort of games, but there wasn't really a ranged build in this game that uses, you know, one type of elements, so you kind of have to mix them. So the Arcanist is probably the closest to a sorceress that I could find in this game, and it basically uses stuff like cold damage, ether damage, which I would like to call arcane damage, and then it also uses stuff like frost nova, so it freezes mobs. It also has stuff like self buffs and weapon buffs, and just basic things like getting more spirit or whatever that is for, and even some leech stuff, and kind of just mixing elements together, making your spells do 3-4 types of damage all together. It's a bit weird, but that's basically how the game works for many builds. So you don't just do one sort of damage type, you do kinda many together. But yeah, let's talk a little about this one. Just quickly showcasing the build, also just a little bit perhaps. Yeah, I don't think there's too many mobs in here.
I can't open that.
But yeah, we can actually just quickly talk a little bit the gear as well, while I can just show off a few missiles. So I actually only use the shield ability, which works for only 3 seconds currently. Then I use my flash freeze sometimes to freeze mobs, and then it's basically just this little spear that I use. So only 3-4 abilities on my bar. It's pretty boring, but that is kind of how the end game even is. There's not a lot of abilities used in this game, because you kind of stick with one ability. So in my case, it's this one here, Panetti's Replicating Missile. So you choose an ability from the start, and then you kind of make a build around this one ability to make it better. And you pretty much only use this one as your main damage ability. But yeah, I think I want to talk a little bit about some loot. So I've been playing for about an hour, maybe more, I'm not quite sure. And in this hour I picked up all this loot here that you see now on the screen. You are getting rewarded so much loot just constantly. It's almost annoying just how much loot that actually drops. White items are never worth picking up. They're crap even at level 1. But you get, like, I killed some bosses, you know, nothing special at all, and sometimes I would get like 10 loots. Just green items, maybe 1 epic, but still you would get all these sort of loots here. And sadly, it's not really worth picking up because they don't really vendor that much, but still I'm a hoarder and I just like to pick it all up. Because as you can see, at level 45 I'm still using quite a few of these green items, and especially this weapon here. I want to highlight this one because this is a good example of what sort of gear you're gonna be using in the game. So elemental damage, +2 elemental damage, casting speed, so we have both attack speed and casting speed. Attack speed is obviously for melee or physical, and then it even gave +1 to Panetti's Replicating Missile, so that's very good. But here comes the fun part, it also granted me a skill. This skill here is called Piercing Aura, and it basically just makes me able to pierce. Really sweet. So you actually get a buff from an item that you just toggle on, and then you kind of just forget about it. So actually I'm using 3 or 4 self buffs. So pretty sweet that you get an item kind of early on, gives you a skill that's really good, plus it gives you all these other good stats. So it is worth to pick up even green items. I just kind of wanted to highlight the skill base there, because in Grim Dawn, especially early on, getting skills from gear is super strong. I can show one example of components, which is basically just for crafting. I think I can find it just real fast, but yeah, there's something called charged lodestone or whatever. Yeah, but that spell is basically like the sorceress's lightning nova in Diablo 2, where it basically just spams and it doesn't cost too much mana and attacks extremely fast. That spell, I used that to like level 25 or something, 20 maybe. It was extremely strong, way better than Panetti's, until I had more points into this build. Then it started to kind of lag, but still it was super strong. So finding a component like that, putting the component on my item, and suddenly I get a really strong early on ability that's gonna carry me for many levels. That's sort of cool, and it gives you a way to kind of play differently. Like components are just basically just crafting, but you kind of just want to pick them up because they're used for all sort of things. And this is also kind of annoying. Another part about the loot. You have to pick up all these sort of things, and it's basically just annoying to manage it all, but you can auto sort inventories. That's at least a decent thing where we had, where you can kind of do that, because there is a lot of inventory management and the space is pretty limited. You do have a stash as well, and you can transfer items to other characters and so forth, but still I find it pretty lacking. I also want to quickly just round down the stats here. We got Physique, Cunning and Spirit, which is easy enough to kind of understand. Physique is health, Cunning is, well, I would say melee, kind of going physical, and then Spirit as kind of caster ability only. But yeah, I also want to quickly talk about health and energy. It's actually kind of fun where you get an item that has as much as, well, I've seen, yeah, like this belt here has 200 energy and vitality. It's kind of fun to kind of stack negation that high, because a lot of items can really just put your health way high up, which is, you know, not too useful at the end game, because you kind of want to focus on resistance by then, but still it's quite fun to stack that much health early on. But yeah, we got a damage per second, which I don't really think counts for anything. It's kind of useless. Offensive and defensive abilities, they're basically just the stats, so we got some defensive ability in this chest, for instance. And then armor rating as well, which is kind of fun because it's individual for each of your items, which is kind of like a cool thing, I would say. And then we have all sorts of resistance. We got poison, acid, and piercing as the kind of more weird resistance. I heard bleeding is very good, especially vitality as well, because those type of damage cannot really be avoided, so you kind of want to stack vitality resistance. Aether, stun, and chaos, I don't really think they matter much. Maybe they do, but definitely think vitality is important, because that's like curses and other draining mechanics on the floor, like shields and pentagrams that the bosses spawns and you run into them by mistake. So yeah, I think this pretty much covers it for kind of the build and gear section. Like, there's a lot more to probably talk about. Like, there's a lot of stats in the game and you kind of want to understand these sort of things here. Like, we can just perhaps quickly look at these boots here. Elemental damage, damage to undead spirit, health, that's sort of okay. But then we have vitality resistant cares, 30% reduction in life lead duration, 28 slow resistance. Like, there's a lot of weird stats, and early on I think a lot of people will be confused by it. I was, at least. The stats are not very clear. Like, compare this to games, say Torchlight 2 or something. I find the gear to be a little weird, kinda. I mean, who really needs both Aether and elemental damage on an offhand? You know, it's kind of bloated with stats that might not matter too much. That's just my opinion. But yeah, maybe I'm just easily confused. Oh yeah, we can switch weapons as well. I forgot to mention that, so that's kind of fun enough. But yeah, I think that pretty much rounds up this part. Okay, so I want to show off some gameplay here on a boss. This boss reminds me of Belial in Act 2 of Diablo 3. That is pretty much the most accurate way to describe it. So let's show this off, and then you can also see how my build sort of plays and kinda how, you know, the end game combat might work, even if this is only normal difficulty. So we got these swirling things on the ground, and there's gonna be a lot of ads spawned. And basically you wanna focus down the ads so you don't get overwhelmed. And then occasionally you can go hit the main guy up here, which is this big guy here. But he keeps spawning these ads here, and they basically, in order to not, you know, die from the ads, you basically wanna focus down those first. So it's kind of like a reverse Belial, where you can actually hit the boss at the same time killing it. But there you go, the boss is dead now. The fun part was that it actually did spawn elite spawns as well, so then when the ads were actually challenging to kill, that was pretty nice. I can only imagine that going up on veteran mode would have made this even harder. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of show off the build, how it works. So in the scenario here where I am basically just playing on normal mode, you can kind of go full out DPS and kind of have fun with that. But obviously as soon as I get to elite, and especially ultimate, I have to start respeccing my character. I have to invest into more defensive playstyles and stuff like that. But yeah, this was just a quick little gameplay part. Okay, some final thoughts on this game here. I really like this game, but I have to say that with it being modderable, just like Torchlight 2, you're gonna have, you know, that dilemma where you're gonna say, well, should I just cheat in the game and get some mod that does everything for me? I did that in Torchlight 2 at the end. So after I played the game for about 125 hours, something like that, I modded the game and just had some fun for the next 25 hours or something like that. If this is the sort of game where you are gonna be, you know, oh, but some dude can cheat, and what's the point then of playing the game? If you had that attitude, don't buy the game. I'm just gonna say it straight out. If you hate modding and you think that that just ruins the legit playing of the game, just don't go for it. Like that's really my opinion. But if you enjoy modding and you can see that as a benefit, that's just another thing to kind of look forward to as the game progresses. Because I really think that once this game gets updated with maybe even an expansion or something like that, it could actually be pretty good. Because right now, I think we're just gonna run a few areas, kind of like Diablo 2, where you farm a few areas for loot, so a few dungeons or whatever, and then luckily, however, there is a lot of builds to make in this game, so I think the variations are there, but I think we kind of need, can you say, a meta for the game, sort of like Diablo 3, where you kind of do one thing to make it, you know, the best optimized way you play the game. I think the game kind of lacks end game in some way. I might be unsure about that, but I think it kind of lacks that end game thing. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because actually one should probably just play this game as a single player offline game, having fun completing the game like hell. I might just quit the game once I'm level 75 or something like that. Like now I'm, you know, I did all the acts soon, I did the whole game, and then it's just gonna repeat itself. If that's kind of boring to me, maybe I will just quit at level 50 then and be done with it. That's fine as well. Because, like, again, I bought the game on sale, it wasn't too expensive, and I had a lot of fun for these 25 hours that I now played the game. So for me, it's a win-win either way. Even if I don't like the end game and I find the build that I maybe made was a little limited in the end game potential. Because I also want to quickly showcase again devotions and whatnot. A lot of things are confusing, so early on you're gonna be looking up things. It's kind of hard, and you know, there's all these sort of builds, things you can't change, like physics, spirit, and cunning, and you can respec in the game, but you can't respec the points that you put into trees. So say if I regret going full arcane points, you know, filling up this green bar here, I can't change that. So kind of like the blacksmith thing and the witcher thing that I talked to and killed, there are choices to be had in this game, and if you fuck up those choices, the game is gonna punish you. So that is also how the game plays, and that is kind of like how Torchlight 2 never had that. That was more of a casual thing. Oh, and a quick side note, as you can maybe, you can't see down here, but the game runs pretty well on my computer, which is a GTX 970. And that's like, you know, not the greatest GPU nowadays, still good, on 1080p. But yeah, I really think the game is goodly optimized now that it's been fully released, and the whole game is out there, and there's even one DLC. So if you're kinda interested in the game, I think you should just kinda go for it, because you know, for me this was just another game to tick off and say, oh yeah, I did play that game and it was fun. So yeah, I'm still hyped for games like Torchlight 3, if that will ever come, and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this review here. I try to make these kind of, you know, reviews talky and different compared to what you might expect the review. Kind of just maybe not showing so much gameplay, or rather just collecting my thoughts on it. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, have a good one.